Last week on the Poisonrana Patreon, we were joined by world champion Chris Elliott to talk all about 2 episodes from season 5 of Black Mirror in a brand new episode of Up Yours.
But more importantly, what's your favorite Boney M song, Chris?
I do love Rasputin.
It's a banger.
It is.
All time. Did you know that the guy in the band doesn't actually sing the songs? I learned this recently.
Oh no. You broke my heart,
That's
mate.
what happened. I mean, the women do most of the singing anyways, but it's the guy then goes on to create Milli Vanilli as well. So like,
I was literally about to say the 70s Milli Vanilli.
And there is a joke in the show later on, I think it's at the end when the cops, and she's like, oh, and the guy from Boney M, they're like, that guy's like, he's
the
just
dancer.
Yeah, he's just a dancer. It's like, they knew. Get this show plus hundreds of podcasts featuring wrestling reviews, movie reviews, retro NXT reviews, best match ever, and so much more. Go to patreon.com/PoisonRana. It's only $5 a month. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting
for? First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BBE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next here at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast app you are using. And of course,
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks. How we doing?
hello, everybody. Yes, it's Tuesday night. We go live after NXT every Tuesday, 10:05 p.m. because we are your NXT
friends.
And Davie, will you be my NXT friend?
You're my friend.
You had that in the waiting.
You're my friend.
Yeah.
You're my friend.
Oh,
we're friends here.
Boy, yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. But yes, I'll always be your NXT friend because Braden.
You're my friend.
You are my friend. You're all our friends. Thank you for joining us here. We are live on the Post Wrestling YouTube, so go give us a follow. We do this every Tuesday night, and hey, here on the post feed, super chats are welcome. We are up next. We will chat about some NXT, but we're Braden and Davie. We are also Poisonrana, and you can give us a follow wherever you find your podcast. Search that in your feed or your YouTube page, and hit that subscribe, hit that follow, and check out all the other podcasts that we do. This week is a big week for wrestling fans. We got the Royal Rumble coming up, and right off the bat, got to say 2 p.m. this Sunday, right after the Royal Rumble, the next day, 2 p.m. Maybe you'll be feeling a little hungover, or maybe you'll be wealthier from depending on how your Rumble pools go. But catch us live 2 p.m. this Sunday to chat about the Royal Rumble, as Davie and I will hit you with a new Poisonrana live. So very exciting week for wrestling fans. The Rumble gets everyone out to come watch the Graps.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait for this year's Rumble. I think it might be one of the, especially the men's match in particular, possibly the best built Rumble that I can recall. Just so many different viable options this year. We had a big talk about it on Sunday's Poisonrana, giving all our predictions and thoughts. But has last night's Raw changed your mind at all?
That's right. Like, yeah, they have so many different stories. You know, shout out to Triple H or whoever's doing the whole storylines that leave you wondering, like, hey, could we have Kevin versus Sammy? Hey, could we have Cody versus Punk or Punk versus Roman? There's like all these different options. And again, Royal Rumble kicks off the road to WrestleMania, which just makes it feel a lot more interesting. And like, hey, the last year the run was great, and so far so good. I watched Raw today, and we can give some thoughts on it because you keep bringing up the Cody Rhodes asking CM Punk,
You're my friend.
"You're my friend," which was great. Like, caught me off guard after Cody takes a beat down, and then Punk kind of very Superman, Cody Superman, and CM Punk is Batman here. That's the vibe that they were kind of going for, even with the like tie-ins there that they were like the things they were saying. But I thought that was a pretty good moment and made you think like, hey, The Rock's not doing WrestleMania, so a lot of people assume we're going to Roman versus Punk, which, you know, could be the match. But look at this match right here. I think this is one of the biggest matches WWE has in the chamber, right? Just waiting to go at any time, like for this year's WrestleMania. And if it's not the case, I mean, this felt really hot. It felt like your two big stars. And Tony Khan, how did you let both of these guys go?
Yeah, they kind of did the same last year though with these two, right? They had a bit of a segment between them both, and I don't know if it's the destination for this year's Mania. It's certainly going to be a match at some point, and it's going to be a huge match. But I love that they're just dangling like all these possible matches in front of our face. Like we had earlier in the show, there was like Logan Paul and Gunther. You had Seth and Gunther. You've got they're kind of continuing that Jay sort of had Gunther's number at Saturday night's main event. So, you know, your two titles, there's a bunch of different options that way you go. Obviously, we think, you know, the rumor has been for a while, Cody and Cena. Is that not happening anymore? Is this the destination? Is Punk going to win the Rumble? Is John Cena going to win the Rumble? Is Sami Zayn going to win the Rumble? I think they've done such a good job of just giving everyone a real, like, valid reason to win it this year. And a lot of the options have my interest as well. But I thought, especially closing the show with these two, I loved the whole, like, sort of an analogy that Punk was putting out there with, you know, I was champion for 434 days, and come the 300-day mark, it started wearing on me. I started getting burnt out. I started losing friends and all this, and kind of tying that in with Cody at now he's at the 7-month mark, and, you know, his friends have turned on him, and it's almost like this like albatross around his neck that or like the one ring that the power will start poisoning you and all that kind of thing. I thought it was great. I thought both sounded excellent. I thought Cody kind of getting the last word where, you know, he's all delirious to start with after being kicked in the face, and then kind of turns it on right at the end. No, Punk, it's you chasing me now. I thought it was great. Like, this is what I think SmackDown is definitely lacking. These just killer promo segments. Like, the TV should be there to build to your big pay-per-views, your big PLEs. And yeah, of course, I want to see the wrestling on there, but the kind of verbal sparring between the greats on the mic is just as captivating for me. And I thought, as far as go-home shows go, in making me interested in specifically the men's Royal Rumble match, I thought they did a hell of a job last night. And I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, I mean, they did a fantastic job of making you want to see Cody versus Punk. And like we said, if we get that, if that's the, like, potential, you know, swerve that we're going towards, like, everyone would be definitely losing it over this. I still don't think maybe that's this year's WrestleMania with just things put in place, maybe, but either way.
Remember,
like,
SummerSlam's 2 nights as well this year. Like, it's certainly something you could do at a SummerSlam to main event one of those nights as well.
Like, it feels big. It feels like potentially one of the biggest matches that doesn't involve Roman Reigns and The Rock. Yeah. Like, these are your two biggest one. I love hearing CM Punk bring up old CM Punk. Like, I loved his run in AEW, and like, of course, he would talk about the past a lot. But since being back in WWE, a lot with the Drew feud, and especially here, like referencing his epic, like long title run and everything, referencing things that, like, if you're a longtime fan, you're like, oh, okay, I know what he's talking about there. And if you're new to it, you'd kind of be like, oh, wait, did he hold that for that? Like, maybe people aren't necessarily as familiar, but really loved that. I loved the stuff with Sami Zayn. I've been loving, if you listen to us on Sunday, we've been talking about my new love for Kevin Owens and our appeal to the nation on why Kevin Owens should win this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. But he continues to be the shirt king, because first he has the Canadian dream, son of a security technician. Then he had Cody sucks eggs. Then on Raw with the whole Sami Zayn and Cody and everything, he's wearing the Sami Zayn jackass Sami Zayn forever t-shirt, which how did I never buy that shirt, by the way? We love Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville.
Oh yeah.
How did I never make that purchase? But Kevin Owens is on top of the shirt game. The Naomi shirt as well, I think you rocked last week. So, just brilliant stuff. I'm really hyped with like the big key players, the big key characters all having like big promos lately. That seems what is really working for me with like driving the stories. And the Royal Rumble, it's pretty easy to book. You just say it's the Royal Rumble, but they've put in extra work of making think of all the other still and like, well, what if the title is retained, and what if this guy were to, like, there's a lot. My money still might be on CM Punk, and I don't know how
yours on CM Punk now. Does that mean we're not getting the Roman match? It's but that's what I love about it is they've put so many viable options in front of us. And I think, for years your go home shows were just, you'd have a random tag in the middle of the show where everyone is just throwing each other over the top rope, and commentary's going, oh, well, if that's the Royal Rumble, you're eliminated. And there's only really one or two people you can see winning it. I felt that they made this match feel like the biggest match possible, which it is. It's the stepping stone to WrestleMania. And I think they've done such a great job over the last few years on building this main event crop of both heels and baby faces. Like, it feels really balanced for once. Whereas for years under Vince, we had Cena and then everyone else, and you had a couple of heels or whatever. But yeah, I keep changing my mind on who I think's going to win it this year, which I think's great. And I'm genuinely going to be kind of surprised and interested whoever wins the Rumble this year.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Like, whether it's Punk, Sammy, like, look, if you're doing the Rumble pools like we'll be doing on Saturday, everyone, the Rumble pools, love a good Rumble pool. And if you get Sami Zayn or CM Punk, feel like those are two, like, we talking reckless if we think Sami Zayn is winning the Royal Rumble, but damn it, I'm still cheering for him to do it. But something tells me it's CM Punk. But who else is there that you would think has a chance?
I mean, the kind of curveball is if you have someone who will win for Gunther's title. You had a bit of I don't recall if we've ever seen a Seth Rollins versus Gunther match. I don't think we have, but that is an option out there. Like, who is Seth Rollins is someone who is going to be on that card, and I don't think there's necessarily an obvious opponent for him yet, unless you go back to the CM Punk rematch, which I don't think will be for Mania. So yeah, he's an option to win it. Like, I do, my gut's telling me whoever wins this is going to be for Cody's title. But I like that. Like Jey Uso as well. He's so over right now. I do see him winning that world title at some point. Is that a rematch you do? Like, they were selling pretty hard, I thought, last night that Gunther just like won that match by the skin of his teeth. So that's somewhere you could go. For me, I'm probably going between Punk and Cena as the two options, but I really don't know. I can't call it this year.
It makes it interesting. It makes it like the most like crazy playing field of some of the biggest like cast we've had for a Royal Rumble that they've announced. They've told you, right? And if there is a few surprises, like, that's just like a cherry on top of what we're getting. Because look, like, throwing CM Punk into the mix with, like, Rey Mysterio, Roman Reigns, John Cena. The list is going on and on. Like it's looking, and hopefully my prediction of Sparky Plug in Indianapolis, that's star-studded in the Royal Rumble. And then like the women's as well. Like, it's a lot tougher. They have to fill 30 slots and but they've made it work, and like they've announced Charlotte coming back for it. It's kind of looks like it's like common knowledge that Jordan Grace has completed her contract with TNA Impact. So you imagine she shows up in the Royal Rumble and puts on a big showing. Like absolutely.
Jordan Grace, yeah, absolutely. I think I would put her on straight on the main roster, I think. And but you mentioned Roman Reigns there as well, who is someone I don't see winning the Rumble, but I do see having a big moment on the Rumble and potentially setting up his Mania opponent. We had, Paul Heyman coming out and doing as Paul Heyman does, set like a really good promo and revealing the new cover for 2K25. But also the stuff about the favor with Punk and alluding to a previous client. Are we going to see Brock back at the Rumble? Is that something?
Yeah, I did note it. Like he brought him up, right? The 1-in-1 of the streak. So like that's something too. I'm not necessarily. I don't really care about that. It's not as big for me. Brock hasn't necessarily. I don't really care to see him to be.
No,
quite honest,
me neither. But I'm just trying to think what this favor is and like how is that going to play out and what's going on with that.
Right. Yeah. That is true. They kind of dropped that, but there was reason for Paul to say some of those things for sure. So, interesting. Like all the cogs in this movement is like, oh man, this is good stuff. And it was cool to see last night, like, even Logan Paul. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Paul brothers, but at the same time, like, they're easily unlikable for a lot of people. So, translate to great wrestling heat. And I thought he stood his own, like talking trash to Seth and who is he in the ring with now? I'm forgetting, but
Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther. Sorry. And like basically like, hey, I got here quicker than both of you. Like your whole life you were trying to be a wrestler, and I got here, and look at me. Like, who knows what's kind of next?
Do you see him being an option for Gunther at Mania?
I mean, after this promo, wasn't that like a rumored thing? Maybe they did this on purpose because that was such a rumor like weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where we were talking like, hey, maybe there was some fire to that smoke, but I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like they put out today they announced on Max that the Paul brothers will be having a boxing fight against each other. And on Raw, I noticed someone had a sign that said Connor's better than Paul, and he ripped it up during his entrance down to the ring. I think people are like kind of upset that maybe they're not getting Conor McGregor versus one of the Paul brothers, which I'm sure will eventually happen. But when Conor's maybe in like a senior's home, then they'll book the fight. But like, I think people are a little let down that the Paul brothers now are just resorting to fighting each other, which like who else?
And we know in history, brother v brother never ends
really
up being
other than
a
Brett and
fight.
Owen,
unless it's Brett and Owen.
Yeah,
but that looks like it's March 27th. That's what 2-3 weeks before Mania, 3 weeks I think. So very close, but
not on.
I can't say no on Max.
Yeah,
on AEW stomping ground.
Exactly. Maybe we see some cross promotion with AEW and maybe AEW gets Jake Paul.
AEW gets Jake. Is that? It would have to happen at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, though. Isn't that the only like safe space where
WWE...
everyone from all promotions are in? That or
right.
Bloodsport, I guess you have that at?
Yeah, true. Bloodsport. Jake Paul and Bloodsport. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I feel like people. I just don't know who else. Like, what other famous people are they going to drag out of retirement to have big boxing matches with? Like, hit the big marquee. Like Tyson. That was a big win for them. Kind of conning a lot of people into watching that. But it was on Netflix. Most of you have Netflix anyways.
Do Undertaker.
Undertaker fighting? Okay.
Yeah.
I like where this is going. I'm thinking like celebrities.
Undertaker be Jake Paul in Saudi Arabia.
Look, Justin Trudeau has fought for like politics in the ring before. Like, I feel like he's someone who could get back in the ring and make a lot of money once he leaves the office here in Canada. I feel like people would definitely pay to see him get his ass kicked. So there's an option. But I was a little let down that it's just brother v brother, but I guess they had to do it. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe Jake shows up in the Rumble. That's like
Jake in the Rumble,
option, right? Possibly.
Who are the final surprises for the Rumble? We talked a bit about this on Sundays.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else? Like, I'm going to throw Brock out there now. I don't know why that would have been kind of hinted at. I don't really understand the crypticness of that. Anyone else? I know our usual Sparky plug, Steve Blackman.
Hurricane. He's done it before, and I know he works
Hurricane's
there.
Hurricane's done it before.
Yo, okay. Abyss. Like as Abyss.
Okay.
Like
as Abyss.
People will be like, who is this guy? Some people, but real ones would know. Like, if that would be a cool.
We've done the Dudley Boys a few times, but what about Reverend Devon?
Okay, yeah. Like now we're going back to like different gimmicks.
Yeah,
like abandoned gimmicks.
We've done that before. I think we've had Ivory come back as like regular Ivory, and then like right to censor Ivory.
Kerwin White.
Kerwin White, okay.
Chavo.
I think there's been talks of Nikki Bella making an in-ring return. I see her appearing in the women's, especially she's on the new season of Traitors at the moment. So
my girlfriend was watching that today. I was like, she was explaining that. She's like, "Do you know this wrestler?" I was like, the word wrestler used loosely there, but
come on, why do you always have to shit on Nikki Bella? Come on. She's broken her neck twice for us. Come on.
You should have died in the womb.
No, that was Brie. That was
Brie that said that?
I don't know. It was all horrible.
Can't remember. So you admit it's horrible, yeah.
That story was, yeah. No, I've been watching the Traitors as well. Pretty good.
Oh, okay.
I think Nikki and the women's with Jordan Grace. Men's I think is stacked enough anyway. I don't think we're going to get a great deal of surprises in the men's.
I want like Godfather, Naked Midian.
No, again, Goodfather. We'll get the good. We've had Godfather before. Get all the right to censor.
Ben Buchanan.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh wait, no. Yeah, Bull Buchanan. Ben is in NXT. He wasn't on tonight's episode, but we talk about him. He's great. I'm always excited. It's such a fun time, like the Royal Rumble. Jake from the Windy City is in the chat. He says, "What about AJ Lee? We've been talking about that last year." She's not in WoW anymore. She looked pretty jacked in heels when she was doing stuff for that. So I feel like there's a chance as much as CM Punk is back. We'll get there one day. It'd be great if Roxanne, who I also think will be in the Rumble, is there, because I want the face-to-face to be those two. Like, sorry,
Roxanne and AJ, right?
Yeah, that's the first face-to-face, because you would want to probly set that up. As much as there's other big dream matches, that's the one, I think.
I see Roxanne eliminating Bayley for sure as well.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, we had a bunch of like celebrities on Raw and Netflix in the last few weeks, especially Travis Scott coming out with Jey Uso. He himself could be in the Royal Rumble. Quavo, 2 Chainz, Lil Yachty.
Who was the streamer? I can see both streamers being in the Rumble.
Yeah, Speed and the other one that was on tonight.
Kai, what's his face?
Yeah, that guy.
I've no idea who these people are.
So maybe there's potential that's kind of your surprises, if you will, I guess, in some way, shape, or form. I'm trying to think of other things that caught my attention. Another was Ludwig talking to Pete Dunne. I'm interested to see if Butch Pete Dunne there joins Imperium.
Okay.
Because I thought he was like, hey, you kind of haven't done shit since being on the main roster, and I'm kind of surpassed you. How about you join our club?
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see Ludwig move away from Gunther at this point. I think now it's just the two of them. It feels weird. I think the trio is fine, but I just think move Ludwig away and maybe have something with Pete. I don't know. It's sticking them both in another tag team, but I mean, they're both great wrestlers, but I can't say I'm particularly interested in what either of them are doing at the moment.
I think as a tag team, they'd get further right now. Like if they were
Mm.
to go for some gold and challenge and stuff like that. But I thought that was interesting because Pete's kind of someone like he's doing a lot of producing as well, but he's always just kind of floating around. But yeah, I like the heavy promo Raw because it was building so many different stories for going into the Royal Rumble, and I liked how they've actually made it feel like so important. So let us know what guest surprises you think will be in the Rumble that are crazier than the ones we set and realistic, maybe. But before we get into some NXT, it's a little bit of some housekeeping, some programming. Like I said, we go live on Tuesday nights like we are right now, every Tuesday here at Post Wrestling. So give us a little follow, but search Poisonrana, like I said, and give us a follow because we go live on Sundays. We will be going live this Sunday, 2 p.m. to talk all about the Royal Rumble. So very excited to do that. I'm sure it's going to be a great chat. But we have a patreon.com/Poisonrana, and it's only $5 to get a whole month's access, and you get all the shows that we do, including our review of Black Mirror season 6, episode 1 and 5, which was a double shot picked by Chris Elliott, as we talked all about how technology is killing the world and a little bit of Boney M in there as well. But Black Mirror, I'm not someone who watches it all the time, but really loved this, and it was a great pick and made for some great conversation about how Judgment Day is coming and how it sucks to lose your phone in 2025.
Both episodes really awesome. Great discussion about them, both with you and with Chris. It's all on Netflix, so give them a watch. They're not particularly long to watch, about an hour an episode, and I love them. Like I've never been disappointed after watching one of these Black Mirror episodes, and it definitely inspired me. I've gone and watched so many more since. So yeah, keep them coming.
And we do a show called What's Next, where we go back and look through all the different retro NXT. And I bring this up because today, WWE's YouTube vault created an NXT vault, which they've been releasing tons of NXT content, which means hopefully What's Next, we won't have to keep doing what we were doing to access we just keep pretending we're from the Philippines to use the WWE network. But now they've added it to YouTube. So you could follow along with What's Next because we're almost at the first ever takeover in 2014. So things are only going to get better and better and better. Very excited.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've been seeing people on Twitter like, oh my God, this is awesome. They've got all these NXT episodes and going back and finding greats such as Richie Steamboat. People going, oh, I had no idea Ricky Steamboat's son was a wrestler. And
we do.
What was her? Was it Raquel Diaz? Shaul Guerrero, Eddie's daughter. People go, who is this girl? And it's like, well, you know, we've got hours and hours and hours worth of What's Next reviews right from day one that you can go and enjoy on our Patreon. And now it's even easier than it was before to watch along with these on YouTube. Yeah, I imagine they'll add more and more to this. I haven't had a chance to quite see like say if our next episode is already up on there or not, but a lot of content there for you to enjoy. So it makes us a bit more confident going forwards. I hope they speed up the Raw process, especially Raw 2009, 2010 would help us a lot on a certain Jump Is Here show. But yeah, good stuff. NXT going onto YouTube.
Yeah, really cool that they're uploading all these old stuff. So maybe if you're not familiar, like there's tons of great stuff, like a match that turned 7 years old yesterday, a famous match that is probably already on the YouTube because some people like ourselves maybe would tell you that it's the greatest match in NXT history. In fact, we used to put it on a t-shirt. In fact, turned 7 yesterday. Gargano v Almas and Chill.
Wow.
If you know, you know.
Oh man, I've got to throw that on after this. Yeah,
we got to put it on and watch it. Yes, turned 7 yesterday. The show that sparked this very podcast. If you look at it that way, it was my co-host Bale. Davie, you're at the show. You're there. Yes, I'm there. I'm in a hostel, but I can find somewhere to record my thoughts. Great. The rest is history.
That was Ciampa versus Gargano.
Oh, yes. Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rumble Philadelphia.
Right.
But
well,
it started that whole run. It was the return of Ciampa.
You were at this show,
to WrestleMania. I was at this show as well. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. This was
awesome
the
stuff.
one. This was the one that like we had on a t-shirt and everything. The one that Johnny sent in his video and everything.
Oh yeah.
But I imagine that's in on the vault there. But What's Next is a great show that we do on the Patreon for all you NXT people. And maybe you're like going back to watch it. It's a great piece that goes with it. So that's one of the shows that we do. You mentioned Champ is Here. We did episode 5 with John Cena, Evil, and B Detroit as we looked at John Cena's 5th title reign. Yes, we've been going through it. 5 title reigns so far, meaning 5 episodes, once a month, sort of, where we look at the whole like feud for the title, like the win, chasing for the title, winning the title, and the entire run itself, which that one didn't last too long. But that was the 5th title reign, WrestleMania 25, which was fantastic. And then we have a show coming out this week that is Rumble season. So we're going to rumble, young man, rumble. And we put it to you, our tadpole on our Poisonrana Facebook group. And you voted for the Royal Rumble 2002 in a new edition of Reviews from the 6 on Wednesday. We will be recording this tomorrow to chat all about the Maven dropkick to The Undertaker. We're going to talk about Chris Jericho versus The Rock. We're going to talk about Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair. Really excited about that one. And we're going to chat about Triple H and the U2 song. Is that right? Beautiful Day, or does that come after that? I forget.
No, it was the Madden. It was the promos leading up to this Rumble. This
was
his return to the ring.
Yeah,
pretty stacked Rumble, if I remember right. I remember it's full of some fun returns and pretty star-studded towards the end of that match. I'm looking forward to this. It's been a while since I've seen this event, and it does rate pretty highly. So if you it's all on Netflix. Go and watch it. Leave your feedback. We'll be recording this show tomorrow. We'd love to hear your thoughts, even if you don't have a chance to watch the whole thing. Watch the Rumble or some highlights or something, and go back to 2002 and let us know your thoughts on this show.
Yeah, so all those podcasts plus everything else that we've done, it's in the vault there. $5 a month to get a whole month's access, and you can put it in your RSS feed, your podcast app, and we're right there. So support us. Go to patreon.com/Poisonrana. Try us today. It's WrestleMania season, baby. Better time now than ever. Go check it out and help us afford our Elimination Chamber tickets that we will be purchasing because we haven't yet. But for anyone in the Toronto GTA area and anyone planning on going to Elimination Chamber, follow this space. Keep it locked, if you will, for a very special announcement coming soon, very, very soon, involving Elimination Chamber weekend here in the 6. Very excited. So Poisonrana.ca for all the links of all the podcasts that we do, our events, social media. And hey, if you use Instagram, go give us a follow. All right, go give us a dang follow. Let's get to 1,000.
I'd love to get to 1,000. What are you waiting for? If you're in the room right now, give us a follow at Poisonrana Pod. Come on.
Our old one got taken down, and then we just never got it back up. So let's go. Come on. We got rookie numbers. We need to bump those numbers up, baby. But appreciate all the listeners out there. And now we can talk about some NXT, I think.
Let's do it.
I think we can do that. I think we can talk about some NXT from Tuesday, January 28th. 2025, not from Florida, not from the PC. We're going to Atlanta, Georgia, at Center Stage Theater in Atlanta for NXT Live. And I saw WrestleTix had this at like just under 800 people, around 800 people.
It was sold out, like a small venue, but again, looked great. I love these different looks for NXT and hope they keep on doing this because I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Like seeing them go on the road is awesome. We've been talking about it for years. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they moved this? And like 700 people, that's still pretty cool for a little moving around show. I think this is like a good like spot to do TV for. Like this center stage looked pretty cool. It's not like the biggest venue, but it was cool. So I believe we hear Booker T on commentary, who I'll just get it out of the way. He was on one tonight. Mentions Atlanta being very dear to him and him winning the WCW, a bunch of WCW titles, I think, in Atlanta. And he's joined by, once again, Corey Graves, who just loves to be here. He wouldn't not be rather be anywhere else in the world. What did he say last?
There's nowhere else he'd rather be, I think, than calling NXT.
Yeah, that's right. So Corey Graves and Vic Joseph on commentary as we kick things off here in Atlanta with Bayley teaming up with Giulia, the NXT Women's Champ, taking on the former champ Roxanne Perez and her partner Cora Jade. And Vic Joseph brings up to Corey, who was the commentator for NXT many, many years ago as well, about his thoughts on Roxanne, bringing up the fact that she's better than all 4 horsewomen. And Corey says that's like comparing Babe Ruth to Shohei Ohtani, which Ohtani is more known for his pitching than his hitting, but I'll still give him the he's a double. He's a good hitter too, right? Yeah,
good at all.
Yeah. Giulia starts off here with I think Cora here, with Roxanne, and kind of gets the best of her and annoys Roxanne. So she tags in Cora, who then Giulia tags in Bayley. So they're going at it here. Eventually, all of them are on the outside, and Cora does her dive off the top, hit to everyone, and the crowd is very much into booing Cora and Roxanne. And she's like, "Oh, you're gonna boo me," as they go to a commercial break. But we get picture in picture on the Netflix, at least here. And there was the heels kind of beating down on Bayley. But then when we come back, it's Bayley who comes back with some back suplexes, and then the Victoria spin out sidewalk slam. You know the one I'm talking about. Shout out Victoria. It's like, I don't even know what this was called, but like when she does something and spins her all out and side slams her for a near fall. Roxanne comes in though and starts doing the old school Bayley, like
the
wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yeah.
And starts to do like a fake hair tie thing and everything, which pisses off Bayley and comes after her again. But then Roxanne hits this like triple jump lion salt, which looked really nice for a near fall. However, Cora's in trying to get capitalized, but Bayley hits her with the Bayley to belly once again on NXT to Cora, but you can't capitalize, but then tags in Giulia, who goes after Roxanne, and these two are going back and forth. There was a great Matrix escape type move from Giulia here. Eventually, though, Cora's back in, and I think it's Roxanne who's sent to the outside, and Giulia drops Cora and then tags Bayley for the Macho Man elbow off the top for the 1, 2, 3, and Bayley pins Cora Jade in our opening match. But what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I like seeing the different combinations here. I still kind of hope we get a one more one-on-one Giulia and Roxanne. I don't think we're going that way. Maybe you do that at Stand and Deliver. Obviously, we know later in the show where we're going with Vengeance Day, but I just like to see them have a bit longer than the 11 minutes they've been giving on TV, their last 2 matches. Like Bayley, we kind of talked about this last week. There's really not a whole lot going on with her on the main roster right now. So why not have her down here? She was eyeing up the title. Do you see that being a Stand and Deliver match, Bayley and Giulia?
Oh, I don't know if she's going to be here like that long.
No.
Like, even think when Becky was doing it, she didn't stay till Mania. She went to do Mania program. They want to get that Mania money. She stared at Giulia after the match, but then like later it's announced that, a match will be announced, that it's kind of like, okay, that makes sense. So I guess like you could see here, was the direction, but I totally agree. I still feel like we never got Roxanne and Giulia like to the full, potential. I know
it felt just slightly restricted.
Both times. Yeah, both times did.
You had Cora taking the pin here, and that kind of starts a kind of show long story with Cora's frustrations as well. But yeah, I liked the match. I thought all 4 worked well. But I still want to see as I said, these combinations, but have the proper match. I don't know if the triple threat quite does it for me.
No, it's not the best direction. So yes, we will be announced that Ava will announce that it's Bayley versus Giulia versus Roxanne, potentially adding Cora Jade into that mix for Vengeance Day, but we'll kind of go through that the rest of the show. But yeah, not like necessarily like I'd prefer a one-on-one, whether it was Roxanne Bayley, whether it was Bayley Giulia, like something completely like fresh and new. But yeah, we'll see.
That being said, NXT are normally pretty good at these multi-person matches.
Yeah.
They're normally pretty like high-paced and lots of near falls, and I think will be a fun. Like the talent in that match is crazy, so it should be really good. But I just see it as a way for Giulia to continue.
I'm nitpicking, but Bayley's elbow drop, like that's not a finisher. We see so many people do.
Well, she hits it all the time, and it doesn't finish people as well. But that being said, I do like people winning with different moves.
Yeah.
Like I don't like I like not always relying on your finisher.
And Giulia like hit her with something as well.
Yeah,
exactly. Like we've seen it's people can. We saw Shawn Michaels Sweet Chin Music on Kevin Owens. When Shawn does it, it's more effective. That's basically what matters. So when Bayley hits the elbow drop, it's a lot more effective. Got it.
Yeah.
We get a video for Eddie Thorpe here. He's in the woods and there's a big fire. And he says that he's been suffering, but he works and he works harder. And when you want something, you have to suffer. You have to work harder and you have to feel that hunger. And then he says that there might be obstacles in his way, but obstacles stimulate your mind as he's staring at this big fire in the woods. And he then says that, don't worry, I still will make my mark in NXT because Eddie Thorpe cannot be broken, as he checks on his marshmallows. No, he didn't actually, but he probably had. I would. It looked like a big fire. Why waste it without roasting some weenies on it? But you know what? I like this guy's promo game since like him being the like trickster, the opportunist kind of thing. The promo with Oba, like it was what it was, but if this is a vamp going forward with the heel character, then sure. But yeah,
it's interesting. He's still got the leather strap as well, so I feel we're going towards a strap match with him and someone. But Oba and Trick both seem pretty tied up with that thing. I don't think we're getting Eddie inserted into that mix again, so I'm not entirely sure. This kind of felt like one of those promos where it's almost repackaging and starting again.
Yeah.
He sounded sinister, but didn't necessarily sound like the whiny heel Eddie Thorpe. So a slight repackaging I got from this, and I'm not sure who his feud is going to be when he comes back.
The strap. Is it the Yappa Pie? Botchamania. Anyways, we go to the Grayson Waller effect. With Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, we see these two and they start off in the ring, and Grayson says that we've been partying all night last night here in Atlanta with Quavo and 2 Chainz, and we get a big A-Town Down chant here from the hometown crowd for Austin Theory. And when they're doing it, you see Waller start being like down under, like adding to the chant there. They start chanting ATL because Waller's like, oh, hometown boy, ATL. And then Waller says that they chant ATL because they can't spell the full word, which I thought was funny. They then call out Oba Femy, NXT champion, is their guest. He makes his way, and the crowd are loving him. And
I did enjoy here. You could kind of see in the background as Oba's making his entrance and he's doing his walk. Grayson Waller was kind of doing the dance in the ring as well.
They even say like, "Oh, look at you! You got your own like your walk, your pose, and your as he says a few times." And Oba sits down, and they say that look at you! You're this like monster. You've been on this roll since being here, and you're NXT champion, but we just don't see the potential. And Oba is like, "What?" And they start kind of making jokes, and he's like, "Oh, you invited me on your show, and you're just gonna make jokes." And he goes, I don't know if you see the potential, but I said I'd be NXT champion, and I did. And sooner or later, I will be on the main roster, and I will be champion there as well. And Oba says that in my short time of being here in NXT, I became champion. And Waller, you never became champion. In theory, you never became champion. So therefore, I did more than both of you in shorter time. And this upsets Waller. He says, listen, while you were in your WrestleMania suite watching the show, we were winning gold while you were sipping on your juice box. Maybe that was a true story. I don't know why he mentioned juice box here, but I could just imagine the size of a juice box in this guy's hand.
I think he was just trying to big brother him a little bit and be like, oh, you're a kid, like we're the veterans, that kind of thing.
He says that you'll show up on the main roster, and then in 6 months you'll just be in catering, and then you'll be fired, and then you'll be selling shirts on the indies, says Austin Theory, just like all the other ones. And then a huge turn on Grayson chant from the crowd here. So then Austin like turns his back, and Waller's like, "No, you turned on me, bro. Don't do that." Oba says, "I'm building a dynasty, and if both of you don't see the potential, then how about we find out? I need an opponent for Vengeance Day, February 15th. So which one of you will step up?" And we see Trick is now watching this backstage, and he's getting fired up. He's kind of getting furious. So he walks out, but we see Ava comes out and says, "Hey, Oba, I thought I told you that I make the matches, not you," because we kind of seen this before. When Trick comes out and gets in the ring, says none of them are getting a shot. Why do they get a shot? But then they kind of attack him, and it ends with Oba powerbombing Trick, which kind of sucks because he's got a match later on. But yes, Oba Femy basically saying that I'll challenge either of you at Vengeance Day. And I mean, we know where this is kind of going, but what did you think of the Grayson Waller effect?
Yeah, I liked Waller and Theory. I think they're fun in this obnoxious heel role. I think these guys can continue doing this sort of thing. I'd much rather see this at this point than the Miz rehashing a Miz TV. I think they both can have some, especially Waller, some clever one-liners. But it was nice to see Theory here kind of baby-faced as well, being in the hometown and sort of leaning into that as well, because we don't get to see that often. Bit of an interesting direction. I do think we're still going to the singles match because we have stuff happening later on. Production-wise, I did like that they kept on showing Trick from backstage, and then we had the Lee fitting, panning camera shot showing him come out. And I'm interested. Like, I wonder, are we getting a 4-way with this? I don't think so. I think we are just going to get Trick versus Oba at Vengeance Day. I will say, because I know we give her a lot of shit, I thought Ava sounded a lot better this week in all of her segments. You're not going to like her, whatever. But I think she's coming into the role a lot better. I think she's sounding a lot more confident.
I think that's why she had a lot tonight. She was on TV, backstage, on camera, like on the ramp and everything. So they definitely are like working with her a lot more. So.
I think she's getting the like authoritative voice a lot better. And this crowd actually popped for her when she came out as well. They're like, "Oh my God, Ava," which was
the rock star.
Kind of strange. But no, I do think she's improving in the speaking role.
So, like, yeah, I like A-Town Down Under. I think they're very like easy to love to hate kind of thing. But in this position, like we've been saying the last few weeks, like I feel like the men's title picture is kind of weak. It's not been the most focused on story, whether it's Trick in this like title change into Oba. He didn't even beat him clean. It was all kind of just muddy and stuff. And now you've taken a tag team from the main roster that are like inserted in here, and I'm not feeling it really. I
don't think they're going to be involved in Vengeance Day, personally. Okay. I think this was more of a way to get Austin Theory out, like, you know, have some people see him because he's an Atlanta boy and that kind of thing. I think it was a way to get him there. They're probably both living in Florida, so that means they can appear on next week's TV anyway. But I feel it's just to build the frustrations with Trick, and that's his next obstacle, is going through either of these guys. Well, both these guys in the tag next week. I don't think they're going to be involved in Vengeance Day at all.
Again, I think these guys have become like a pretty fun tag team where like they're great when you see the baby, like the stuff with DIY and Machine Guns, like they're good like heels, but I'm like, I don't want you involved here. So I am hoping that is the case, and it does look like that with the whole story that will kind of break down throughout the rest of the show with Ava. But we go to Sarah, the interviewer, interviewing Izzy Dame, and she's asking her, "Hey, what's going on with you and Tony D'Angelo?" Izzy says that there's nothing going on, when Ridge Holland comes out to interrupt her and says, "Oh yes, there is something going on. Like what you interfered in that match, and like I have a problem with you." When Stax shows up and says, "We got a problem here. You don't talk to a lady like that." Really liked Stax saying that. Good for you, Stax. He then says, "Like, why don't you talk to me like that?" when Ridge says, "Oh, I don't want to talk to Tony's lackey. Why don't you go shine his shoes or warm up the car?" And Stacks says, "Yeah, well, I'm warming up these hands right now. Let's go, buddy." So they're kind of pulled apart here, but it is announced that next week on NXT, Ridge Holland taking on Stacks. And Stacks completely stole the show with that line about, yeah, these hands are warming up right now. I thought that was great. Not sure what why Ridge is mad. I guess because she kind of costed him the match.
She booted him in the face, didn't she?
Oh, right. Completely hit him in the face.
Yeah.
So I guess he's got a reason to be pretty upset with him. But yeah, I love Stacks.
I liked this for Stacks. We were saying last week, like, we hope he gets a bit more of a singles focus. We haven't seen him in a whole lot of singles matches. Like, I can only think back really to that Nakamura stuff he had way back when. But he's been pretty solid in the tag division. I think his character is becoming more and more like prominent every week. And it was interesting that Tony wasn't on the show. Remember, like, how last week Tony was like, "Hey, you guys figure it out. I'm dealing with my own thing." And here it's Stacks standing up for the family, standing up for Izzy. So I feel like we're maybe starting to build the split of Stacks and Tony, and Izzy's going to be involved somehow with that. So yeah, I think Ridge is going to kill Stacks next week, but I hope Stacks has a bit of a good showing because I like him. I think he could be good. I think he's been a good prospect there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been like really getting into him, and I think that if Tony were to go up to the main roster as, you know, Tony D'Angelo, just the mobster, I think Stacks eventually could get up to, like, they've teased that before, right? Where Tony's like, I got like the underboss thing. It's like, I'm gonna be gone one day. This will all be yours. But
now I think this was I'm not sure if this was on the CW. I'd like people watching the American feed to let us know, because this felt like a commercial break thing. We've seen this on Raw, that they do the kind of, we haven't seen in NXT the interviews in the stands before. And the fact that it kind of ended with Oba powerbombing Trick and then going, "Oh, Trick's match is next." And then it cuts from this to Trick recovering. I wonder if this was more of a Netflix exclusive and something that will appear on .com or something. But I've been enjoying this on Raw, the interviews in the stands, and they feel a little bit more relaxed and a little less rehearsed and scripted than when they're backstage for some reason. And I think it's something about feeding off with the crowd and maybe having more of like bullet points of what we're going to do in this segment rather than word for word. And I kind of felt the same with this segment here.
I see someone in the chat, shout out Big Time Baxter. He says that it did air on the CW.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was moving the story along, so definitely.
Yeah, but we see a lot of stuff just thrown on .com, don't we, after setting up a match and that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is where I also thought I saw our friend Shane, who happened to be at the show in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure the camera waved past him, and I was like, "Wait a second," and I messaged him, I'm like, where are you sitting? Send me your view. And he did, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw you during that." Kind of nice. Stacks comes through the crowd to go talk to Ridge. Shout out Shane and the Nightmare Factory down in Atlanta. But yeah, pretty cool to kind of see that as well. We then see Trick, who's, you know, he got power bombed. He's in the middle of the ring, and he's like, "Nah, great. I got to face Wes Lee." This was a match I was looking forward to tonight. Wes taking on Trick here, and kind of at this point, we were assuming last week that this is sort of our quasi number one contenders match. Ava definitely thought otherwise, but this starts off with Wes just slapping Trick just like punching like he did a few weeks ago to Wes, and that slap heard around the world. However, Wes comes back on the offense and hits like a tiger feint kick to the gut. Trick is selling the gut and the back of himself since getting power bombed. There's another slap from Trick here as Vic Joseph makes a Redman reference. But then Trick is hit with a Meteora from Wes onto the commentary desk as we go to picture-in-picture.
That looked great. But I think especially after what happened with JD McDonough on Raw yesterday, it made this table spot for me like have a bit more impact, because it was, like a Meteora off the top, but landing on the table as well. And like it sounds like JD was pretty banged up. I think he said broken ribs and punctured lung, which it looked more like a head injury, but a whiplash, I guess, caused that. I've no idea, but he sounds like he was pretty fucked up and very lucky from that because that was
finished the match.
Oh, like that just looked brutal.
Yeah, that was pretty nuts. So we go back to this as Wes is beating down on Trick. He puts him in a single leg crab when we come back from break. However, Trick fights back. He hits a bookend for a near fall. And then we see Tyson and Tyreek, who've kind of been like hanging out with Wes. They start to get involved and they get in the ring. And I know the ref, like, I guess doesn't want to call the DQ here, but like, the guys are in the ring, which always is a pet peeve of mine.
We reviewed something recently, didn't we? Where someone just climbs into the ring and it was a DQ.
Yeah.
I think it was on the Champ Is Here, maybe, or
right.
was next. But yeah, they're a bit more lax. It's like until there's body contact, I guess.
It's like that in the video games. If you're in the ring, it doesn't like DQ you, but still. So Trick is like evading all these guys as he's still trying to fight Wes here. But eventually it's Tyson who eats it, I think, here. And then there's a flying clothesline from Trick to both of them, taking them out. And then he goes back into the ring and the ref is yelling at him. And then he's putting the boots to Wes in the corner and keeps attacking him. And the ref is like, no, seriously, like, get off him. But Trick is just like wilding out here and eventually throws the referee across the ring, causing him to call for a disqualification. I don't feel bad for referees in wrestling. What are you talking about? They had it coming. And this causes a DQ. Wes gets thrown out of the ring and then realizes what happens when the announcer announces it, and the smile on his face like changes, like, oh, I won the match. Nice. And then Trick grabs a chair, I think it's one of the guys has it, and he boots him in the face. And then Trick is like standing there very upset and livid, even though Wes is the one to have won the match. So yes, a bit more of an edge to Trick Williams here. He was beating up three guys and didn't end up winning the match by his own accord.
Yeah, I like we're giving it Trick a bit of an edge. He's had the title twice now at this point. I don't see him winning the title again. But I think it's time to, think about what we're doing next with him. And I wonder if a heel turn is on its way for Trick, so he can move back up to the main roster and join up with Mello. I think you can explain them getting back together. Hey, we were always better as a team. Like, Mello, you've been struggling on SmackDown. You keep picking these fights and losing, and Trick, sure, he won the title, but it's not been going his way, and they need each other and get back together again. Because I think then the act will be complete. I think that act should be a thing on the main roster at some point and will really help both of them. But that doesn't help your lack of baby faces at the top of the men's division, which has been the problem we keep on talking about. This match was good. I liked the finish because I could see us getting this rematch as well at some point. But I wasn't too mad about the DQ because it had repercussions in Trick's kind of change in attitude and persona. But it is just still like, okay, well, Wes is a heel and Trick is maybe looking like he's turning that way. There's so many gaps at the top of that men's division right now, which is an issue. We haven't really mentioned, but Wes did appear on TNA last week in the Fraxium defending the tag titles against the Rascals, which was pretty fun, but ended when Wes Lee with Tyson and Tyreek came out to interfere. So they're obviously now, we've seen them kind of hanging out, but now they're clearly like a unit, the three of them.
Yeah, it's still weird that Wes is a heel. It's cool that he's got his own stable now and like the leader and stuff with these newer guys. I'm sure they could learn a lot from them. I like this match. I don't think Trick turning heel right away is the plan, but when he's gotten a bit more edge because he's upset, he was kind of robbed of the title, and it makes sense.
It's the slow burn though.
Yeah.
I think this is the first signs of it. I think we're going to see him getting, a bit more like whiny about his lack of like being screwed over all the time and that kind of thing. So I feel like we're going there.
It makes sense for him to eventually go back up with Mello. I think they work really well together. He was always a great like mouthpiece, and going back and forth between the two of them as a team would be good. For Wes eventually should be NXT champion, because like the dude has been in NXT for a while. He's been wrestling for a long time. I feel like he could be, he out wrestles a lot of people on the main roster. He's a fantastic wrestler. So I'm kind of wondering, like, he's stuck as this heel. I don't necessarily, you can't turn him babyface before WrestleMania. And I also think that the WrestleMania slot is probably Javon versus Oba Femi, which I would imagine. So I'm not quite sure. I like this though, going in that direction. And I do hope it's Trick versus Oba at Vengeance Day and not Waller and Austin Theory. That's how bad and sad the state of this division has to be if you're inserting a tag team from SmackDown as
I said, I just have this feeling it's more of a stepping stone kind of thing. Trick and Oba haven't had the one-on-one match, and it has been teased for a while. So I feel that's the match, or maybe they're going to try and stretch this out until Stand and Deliver. But that does feel a way away. Yeah,
that's a very, very long time. Yeah, we see Oba Femi, who walks into Ava's office and he wants to talk to her, and she's upset with him. She says, what are you talking about? He's like, who am I facing? She's like, you don't make the matches. I do. And I have made my mind. And he's like, just tell me. And she says, at Vengeance Day, Oba, you will face Grayson Waller. And he walks away, and she goes, whoa, I wasn't done talking. And Austin Theory in a triple threat match. And Oba's like, both of them? Huh. Okay, sure, fine. And kind of walks off. So, she announces Vengeance Day is Waller v. Theory v. Oba. And for anyone wondering when, like this crowd, when is Theory going to turn on Waller? Could this be it? Is this our main event of Vengeance Day? Like we were saying, we hope this is not the main event for Vengeance Day, but it came out of Ava's lips right here.
Mm-hmm.
She has announced it. It is the announced graphic as of right now. So we'll see. Hopefully not.
We'll see.
We see what is this? Ava then kind of, I think when we come back from break, Ava then walks into what I imagine was the locker room here at this venue, and Trick is there, and she's like kind of yelling at Trick, like, what were you doing?
I did like this, how she storms in and all the guys are like, whoa, hey, what's going on? Woman in the dressing room, what's happening?
And Trick is like, what are you doing? Why is that? Why do you announce that triple threat? Like, what have those two done to earn an NXT title shot at the PLE? And she goes, yeah, well, you're not in the match and you shouldn't be. He's like, yeah, well, she says, you got to prove yourself, because you didn't out there earlier tonight. Absolutely not. And he goes, fine, then I want to face them next week. And she says, you will. Next week is A-Town Down Under versus Oba Femi and Trick Williams next week on NXT. So either it's Trick being added to make this a fatal four-way, which is like still like why, or these two get cast aside. But again, Ava did announce the match, and WWE, once you announce the match, they don't usually like, I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. Like, I feel like you would add Trick, just like we're seeing with the other storyline with Cora Jade. Like, I think that the story would be to add Trick to the match, but
I just don't know if you do your two title matches being multi-person.
Lazy.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, we go from that to the ball pit. You're going to get your ass kicked. Shotzi Blackheart, or just Shotzi, I guess, but I still remember her being called that, taking on Fallon Henley for the North American Championship here. We have Fatal Influence coming out. I'm not sure what happened to the one's face there.
Yeah, I thought it was
Jasmine.
JC who had the broken face, but now Jasmine's got a broken face.
Damn.
Pulls it off though. Look good. But,
kind of like Catwoman. Like, hey, I broke my face, but like, I say the best wrestler to ever rock the face mask.
I think so.
I'll say it. Sorry, Cody Rhodes.
Fallon's got to break her face now, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she's got to complete the thing. Yeah.
Fatal Influence.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know if this happened at like a live show or so. I can't remember her face getting busted. But maybe. I don't know.
So Fallon Henley taking on Shotzi. Fallon has Fatal Influence, and Shotzi has Chemical X. And you know what? It's 2025, January 2025. I know it's probably a lock for Jey Uso to have best entrance of the year, but I think My Chemical X here have the best entrance in wrestling currently. That's just my 2 cents. We have this match start off with Shotzi hitting this like unique face buster type move and then a cross body to the outside. She's going all balls to the wall here. Fallon, though, gains control as we go into commercial break, picture in picture, and starts putting the boots down to Shotzi. Shotzi fights back with a rolling elbow and like that inverted sling blade bulldog. But then they're fighting ringside, and Fallon does this like knee smash to the ring post, and then a very impressive like 619, but around the post. Like I've seen Rey Mysterio hit this move, especially at WrestleMania 22 when he wins the title. He does this version of the 619,
right?
And it didn't look that good. Fallon here, like Booker T lost his shit at this move. This was very like Spider-Man stuff from Fallon Henley here. Very cool. But goes back in the ring, starts working the leg of Shotzi, who's we know had the knee injury, and she's wearing the brace and everything. But Shotzi comes back with a sliced bread and then the ball pit, the like coffin drop senton.
Oh, this one looked
her.
like, you know, how like Jeff Hardy in his later career was like, I am not, you're taking the swanton now, and he just squashed him.
Yeah.
This is what this looked painful, and they showed it a few times, and there was a real thud as she slammed down on Fallon. But yeah, this looked good.
Yeah, she really looked like she landed on her. However, Fallon kicks out of this, and then they continue to go back and forth. There's inside cradles, and then Shotzi gets tied up in the Tree of Woe, and then like she attacks the knee again. There's a pump handle exploder, followed up by the famouser, or as Fallon Henley is now calling this, the hoedown for the
great
1,
name.
2, 3.
Great name
what
for a move. Yeah, this is great.
The hoedown, and it's the famouser. Fallon Henley defeats Shotzi Blackheart, retains the title, and then as she celebrates on the ramp, Stephanie Vaquer comes out. They go face to face, and Vic Joseph announces on commentary that Ava has told him in his ear that Vengeance Day, it will be Stephanie versus Fallon for the North American Championship. But I thought this was a lot of fun. Like Shotzi, since coming back, you're always nervous about people coming back from injury, let alone coming back and leaving the main roster, going back to NXT. But I think has really like stepped up. It kind of shows she wants to be there. She wants to be in a ring, because I think she's been really pulling out some fun stuff. Like I think she's improved.
I think this is the best Shotzi's looked.
Yeah.
But also I think it helped that in this match, because it was a lot of selling of the knee and Fallon working that. It kind of took away some of her bad habits, which is often being a little ambitious with some high flying that doesn't go too well, and often looks a little sloppy, and often looks like she's going to hurt herself. So this match didn't really have that from Shotzi, and I thought it made her better because of it. And I thought she became way more of a sympathetic babyface with the targeting of the knee. I think Fallon's taken to this heel role really well, and I'm glad she's able to showcase her wrestling a lot more. And I think her versus Stephanie having actual PLE time allotted to them, not just a little TV match. I think this could really turn some heads, because Stephanie's obviously great, but I feel not enough people know how good Fallon Henley is as well. And I really hope they get to show that at the pay-per-view. But yeah, definitely a good showing for Shotzi here. But Fallon, I just think, kind of proving how good she is in doing this as well.
Yeah, I love Fallon Henley. I really do. Like, I think she keeps getting better and better as well. And I think Stephanie and Fallon could definitely have a fantastic match at the pay-per-view. Dare I say, like, one of the show stealers potentially. Really looking forward to that one. I like this match, and I like that Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum all kind of found something to do, being a group right now, and
it works. It looks right. The three of them together. This is an act you can maybe move up. I think people will be into this. This is a group I could see like young girls liking as well. The kind of three of them. I think they look kind of punky and cool together. And I think guys will be a fan of them as well. But yeah, I was into this segment. Baxter's saying in the chat, I like Fallon Henley, but she's really struggling to get any sort of reaction and crowd investment, something is missing. What do you think about that?
I think they turned her heel all those times, all those months and months ago, where it's like, I think that helped her get the edge. And then she got the stable, which I think is like in time is like proving to help all of them.
I think
at the same time. So,
and I think she sounds pretty confident on mic as well.
Yeah. And it's that jacket, that coat that adds the aura. You wear that fur coat, the Kid Rock coat. Like, I'm in. Yeah. I feel like she'd catch on the main roster.
I feel they've got more aura than Toxic Attraction.
100%.
Like, I like the music. I like the like, I feel they feel more like 3 individuals than 1 leader and 2 lackeys. And I'm into it. I think it is working. It's slow, and maybe other people haven't quite caught on to it yet, but I think it works. Also, this seems to be the week where people are winning with new moves, different finishers. We had Bayley with the elbow drop. We had Sammy last week winning with the Blue Thunder Bomb. We had Cope winning with the TKO. Everyone trying something new, and Fallon here, not with the Shining Wizard, but with the famouser or the hoedown.
The hoedown. It's a hoedown. Yeah, that's a good one. I thought this was pretty fun. We go backstage and we see Kalani, and Carmen Petrovich interrupts her, and she mentions and brings up the fact like, oh, thanks for last week in that match with Jada. And Kalani's like, thanks for what? What? Sorry. Oh yeah. Well, I didn't do that for you. And you need to focus. You need to get all these delusions of yours out of your mind, because it's only a matter of time before Ashanti leaves your ass. And Kalani walks off, and Carmen says, "What a bitch."
You know, like, bitch is overused in wrestling. It's always, and I'm gonna make you my bitch. I thought this was pretty justified here.
What a bitch.
And I feel this kind of cemented the heel turn that we've been having. Yeah. You know, we've been having subtle signs of arrogance from Kalani, but this was just full out. She was a dick here to poor Carmen.
She was a bitch.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see next time she wrestles, because I think we've had this character like in these backstage like this was the most overt.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen any of it carry through to her wrestling. So I wonder next time we see her in ring, how she's going to wrestle. Is she going to be different? Is she going to be a little cockier? Is she going to cheat or anything like that? I assume we're getting this match in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think they announce it next week, actually.
Okay. But yeah, what a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're going to last, Carmen and Shanti?
I'd like them to prove us all wrong. Just, you know,
never know.
Be like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. Everyone's like, it will never last. It will never last. And then all these years later, they're just still together.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure they're together.
You're pretty sure? I don't know if they're still together.
I
mean, what about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett? Everyone said
no.
Jada and that Will love, you know?
Yeah.
I'm pulling through for Carmen and Ashanti.
Yeah, they're still together.
Okay.
Still together. Don't confuse me like that.
Isn't he in Fatal Attraction?
He is, yeah.
Great film. Great movie. What a bitch. We go backstage. Ava is there, and she's talking about Vengeance Day, and she's discussing the triple threat and how NXT has the best women's roster in the entire world in wrestling. And this is when Roxanne interrupts and kind of like, it's like, what are you talking? What is this match? You put Bayley in this? Why did you put Bayley in this match? I deserve the match. Why does she get the match? And this is when Cora shows up, and when the match is here is basically announced that it will be the triple threat. And then Cora is there, but Roxanne says Cora's the one who got pinned. Why, who cares about her essentially? And Cora's then a little bit like, oh, wait a second, why am I not added into this match? Well, because you got pinned by Bayley from an elbow drop. That's why you're not in the match.
Yeah.
That is the match that's announced. But as we kind of said, it looks like you may be adding Cora to this.
I think so, and I think Cora's possibly going to turn on Roxanne as well. Ooh. Or something. Because I noticed Cora, I think, was wearing like a Roxanne Perez t-shirt in the opening match as well. So it's showing she's like, hey, we're a team, and Roxanne's obviously just thinking of herself.
Right.
But really, she doesn't deserve to be in it because she lost the match.
Yeah, you lost to an elbow drop. Come on. We cut to Killer Mike. He's in the crowd. I know they showed him on Monday Night Raw as well, but shout out, run the Jules fast. Run that Jules fast. I guess he really likes wrestling because he's a real hardcore, because you went to Raw and then you also went to NXT. Come on. That's a real fan right there. He's not just like, hey, put me on TV on Monday Night Raw. No. I also need to see, what happens with Trick Williams and Elba Femy. This guy's a real one.
Sorry, who is this guy?
Killer Mike. You probably, Run the Jewels. They did like the Black Panther soundtrack. They've done some pretty fun stuff. But he kills mics because he's Killer Mike. But he's had a lot of wrestling references and songs, especially in the Run the Jewels music and stuff. So I knew he was a hardcore fan from some of his lyrics. That he has quoted, like he's referenced like Dusty Rhodes and Jake the Snake and stuff. So like most rappers don't reference those two specifically. So, and I think Ric Flair tried to sue him, but who hasn't been sued, I guess, by Ric Flair, or the other way around. We go to Ethan Page, who makes his way, taking on Cedric Alexander, who's trying to get some vengeance for his buddy Javon Evans. Right away, Cedric is very angry at Page, so attacks him and puts the boots to him here. As we go into break, we have Cedric like hitting this flying clothesline off the apron. But when we come back, Ethan starts to attack the like shoulder and the arm of Alexander and hits this like hammer lock into a slam into the ropes, though. That was pretty innovative. This is when Vic Joseph brings up to Booker, like, hey, did you end up going to that magic place? Referring to Magic City on a Monday.
Oh, right, yeah.
I guess they didn't go, but it sounded like, my money would have been on a lot of wrestlers being at Magic City on Monday night. But they mentioned, no, we didn't go this time, but Book, maybe they're there right now as we're recording this, actually, but it's a Tuesday. There's a big boot to the face from Page as he tries to grind down on Cedric. Continues to work on the arm and the hand, but then he's caught in a Michinoku driver from Cedric for a 2 count, and then a very impressive, one of my favorite moves, the Koji clutch. Maybe this was a reference to Christopher Daniels recently retiring here, but
True.
He can't capitalize because of his injured hand, so he eventually has to let go of it. Goes for his handspring kick, where I guess his hand was okay enough to do that, but gets caught upside down with a kick from Page, and then the twist of fate from the former Hardy family office trustee, Ethan Page. For the 1-2-3, Ethan Page wins the match, and then right away goes to attack Cedric, rips off the bottom turnbuckle. We're not sure what evil intentions this man is up to. We've seen him attack Javon. We've seen him attack Dante. But as he goes for this, Javon Evans comes out. That boy is bouncy for the save and sends Ethan flying and saves his friend Cedric. And I guess it's safe to assume that we'll get Ethan Page versus Javon Evans at Vengeance Day.
Yeah, and I reckon it's probably going to be unsanctioned. Do you think?
I mean,
because
you could do
like,
one.
They keep saying Javon's not cleared. He's not been cleared yet.
Right,
like that's been part of the story. So whether we go the unsanctioned route to it, obviously Vengeance Day is still 2 weeks away. So there's time for him to storyline be cleared before then. But with the kind of violent nature of the story, I see it being like a no DQ, and therefore why not just make it an unsanctioned match?
Yeah, I love this new version of Ethan Page. I think it was the commentary, Vic and Corey bringing up like, hey, this new Ethan Page.
Corey was there?
Yeah, because Booker kept calling him Gravy.
Or just Corey at some point.
He was calling him Cora Graves. He was like referring to the wrong people. Corey was getting different names wrong too, but I give him a pass if he's kind of just been put in this role. But you kind of don't notice Corey as much, you know?
You really don't, yeah.
He's just kind of just third wheeling, you know. You're on that. You're out with your date, but your friend is also there for some reason, and he's just quiet and awkward, and he doesn't know when to try to butt in. That's what it kind of felt like. Referring to that Vic and Booker on a date.
Yeah.
At Magic City. I love this Ethan Page. I love this Javon Evans storyline. Since this turn of Ethan losing his smile, etc., I think he's completely like stepped up. And I think Javon at such a young age is so great. So really looking forward to this match. I hope it is an like unsanctioned gimmick kind of match, because it's definitely what is needed for this like rivalry.
Yeah, Ethan Page is very hit and miss for me, because I think I can see him be like, I've seen him be really, really good before. Obviously, he's got the promo down. He's got the character down. This more sinister edge rather than the comedic stuff is working a lot more for me. But then there were still times in this match, and maybe it was because we saw some of the picture-in-picture where it just became very like, and now I slow everything down and I'll put you in a headlock and I'll look at the camera. And it was that kind of thing where I'm like, come on, I feel we've moved past that now in wrestling. And there were just points in this match where this felt very like uninteresting WWE style, where I feel in NXT, like, yeah, I don't always get the best wrestling, but a lot of it is developmental and it's new people trying new things and that kind of thing. Whereas a Cedric and an Ethan Page, you're veterans at this point. And I'm like, I need this to be a bit more exciting than what you're giving me. That was from the wrestling point of view. From the story, I'm into it. I'm into him and Javon, and I hope they can pull off something good. But yeah, Ethan Page is very up and down for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like that he's got the edge and like being a bit psychotic and injuring people. Like, we hurt people kind of thing. I like that gimmick. So I know what you mean, though. He can definitely be kind of boring in ring. So being someone who's trying to injure someone adds, like, I guess, a bit more craziness to him in some way. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to that match. That should definitely be a highlight of that show as well. We see Fatal Influence backstage, and Fallon is pretty upset at Stephanie trying to steal her moment when JC interrupts her and takes her moment and says, hey, she doesn't like to be interrupted, essentially, while interrupting her. So causing some tension.
Yeah, I picked up on that as well. And Fallon kind of is like, okay, she kind of lets her go with it. But
so JC then like goes off on Stephanie, and then Fallon jumps in after her back and says, yeah, so JC will face you. And JC's like, oh shit, okay, wait, yeah, I will face her. Yeah, I will. So that looks like it has been announced next week. Stephanie versus JC, Jane versus Stephanie Vaquer. So that should be pretty good. Also announced Carmen versus Kalani, plus a summit between a John Summit between Bayley, Giulia, and Roxanne next week, as well as Ridge Holland versus Stax.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the adding tension to this group already. They do this a lot in WWE. As soon as you put people together, it's like, now let's tease the breakup. And I think this act is something I would just keep together for now. Yeah. Whether they could just completely move past this, but I definitely picked up on, like, the interruption and Fallon kind of, all right, well, I'll feed you to the wolves then.
NXT loves to do that. Like, we've been talking about Chase U for them. Like, oh, are they going to break up? Like, look at Undisputed Era. They did things with them and stuff like that. Some say they're still broken up, but, I wonder how those guys are doing. We go to Josh Briggs backstage, and he's with Inamura here. It shows him clips of him and Noah, and he's talking about how I went to Japan and you were the one who helped me. Hey, you even invited me into your home and we worked well together, and I got you something special since you're here now in America. And he gives him a leather vest, and then Inamura replies with, wow, thank you so much. This is great. And says that I know you came to Japan because you wanted to be on your own, but eventually now that I'm here, you took me in, and together I think we can be a great team, and together we could eventually win the tag team titles. As he puts on the vest, and Briggs says, wow, it looks great. And he's like, yeah, it fits great. So Josh Briggs and Inamura tag team coming soon. Yes. Welcome to America.
And they both like their steaks medium
rare. Yeah. He's like, hey, welcome to America. Yeah. You're now, we now give you this vest. See,
this is what all Americans wear.
Yeah, this is what Americans wear. You have to look like a member of the Village People in this country, obviously. With the
Inamura reacted a lot better than I would have if I'd have been very much.
I gave you this.
Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, thanks. That
biker vest.
Yeah, awesome. I'm gonna wear this all the time, Josh.
USA.
Bless them.
Yeah, very.
I feel that they might have, heard our criticism the other week when we're like, Josh, you're in a tag team. It was a good tag team, and then you went, I want to go on my own, and now you just paired with the first Japanese bloke you meet abroad. But yeah, we really haven't seen much of Inamura yet in NXT. We've had the Battle Royal, and I feel just one tag match, and then some of these backstage things. So I am interested in seeing more of him, and I do have a soft spot for Josh Briggs. So we'll see moving forward. But it does just feel like Briggs is like he's been in this same position for a long time. And there was a moment around this time last year with the singles run, and we're showing a little heel edge and the stuff with Dijak and the match at Stand and Deliver, where I thought he'd be above this now. And especially when we're talking about your baby faces at the top of the card in the men's division, they aren't there. Why not give it a go with this guy rather than just be in the tag division?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Inamura is. I think I like Josh Briggs. I think he's pretty good. So let's see what they can do. If we get some good wrestling out of it, great. I kind of agree. Like, where are we going with this guy? If we've put him in different teams, at least they mentioned that. They clearly wrote that purposely for him, Inamura, to say, hey, we know you were in a tag team and now you're in another one. So at least they did that. But
let's have them lose the match. Inamura turns on him and
Takes
it's
the vest
like
off.
and just sets this vest on fire. He's like, it's fucking ugly vest.
Or what's likely to happen is they win their match, which I think is next week, and then Inamura says, great, now I got you something to go with your vest, and it's assless chaps. And he's like, I'm getting used to this America thing. I'm getting used to this. It's very Sons of Inamura is what this is. Anarchy here. Like, yeah, I definitely laughed out loud when the guy, like, this dude gives him a leather vest. Like, hey, I got you something. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Well, if you had one thing to give to someone, now that you're a Canadian, Davie, if someone's come to your country and you're like, hey, I got you something. Welcome to Canada. Would it be a black leather vest?
No, I think it would just be a red plaid shirt.
Right.
That feels pretty Canadian. Or just like a Jays hat, I guess, something like that.
Raptors jersey.
Yeah,
case of Canadian.
Sure. I wouldn't do that to them.
Case of blue.
Yeah. Ooh, even worse.
We go to our main event. It is the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. The champions, meaning it is the big two of the big three. Naomi teaming with Bianca Belair to take on the challengers, the Meta Girls, Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. We start things off here with the champs taking control of Jakara here. They hit a very nice looking double Russian leg sweep here for a near fall, but then she tags in Lash and we get a tag in from Bianca. So we have this great big moment, the stare down of the two powerhouses here of Bianca and Lash. And Lash kind of gets the best of her here a little bit and kind of teases her and taunts her. And then comes at her with all these like pretty good offense. There's a standing moonsault for a near fall. And then there's a snake eyes, I think, to Naomi before we cut to a picture-in-picture here. As we see Cora Jade backstage is yelling like, where's Ava? I'm trying to talk to Ava as we get back into the action. Bianca's in and hits a suplex followed up by like the kip up here. And then her like handstand running moonsault for a near fall. But however, the Meta Girls come back as they beat down on Naomi, who's tagged in with this like springboard kick heart attack combo from Jakara, which was very nice, I thought, for a near fall. And then they end up hitting their finisher, which is that wheelbarrow cutter combo. But Bianca at the last second saves this at a 2.9. There's then a huge pump kick from Lash to Naomi. And then it's what I think Bianca is ringside, and then it's Lash who goes after her, and she is shoved into the steps as they tried to go for their finisher in the ring. And then I think Bianca's meant to like save this pinfall here, where I think Jakara rolls her up. Naomi?
I think it was more. I think it was more. They were doing the rolling pins, weren't they? Like the pinning combination, and then they meant to roll. And I think they push too late. or just couldn't
Right.
quite muscle it over, because it was Naomi countering it into a pin attempt of hers, but this looked like a 3 count, didn't it? I mean, the ref just stopped.
The ref just stopped, and then the crowd didn't help it, right? I think that's what, if you're watching at home, it's like, oh, did the ref just whatever? But once the crowd was on it, like it then caused Corey Graves and Vic and Book to all be like, oh, I don't know, that looked like it was it. And then the match continues because it was a breakup, sort of. They then send, I mentioned Lash was sent out, and they pick up Jakara and they hit the double torture rack into like the face buster, kind of like a double psycho driver for the 1, 2, 3, and
it was the double KOD. Them both hitting.
That's right, KOD. Yeah. That's what it is. So the Meta Girls fall short to Bianca and Naomi, who retain the women's tag titles. But like there was some fun stuff outside of that, of course, of an incident with ref and causing, things like that. There was some other good stuff that I think like you get distracted by.
Like I feel we say this every time these women's tag titles are defended against an NXT team, where we go, come on, just give it to NXT. NXT has the better women's division. They've got a bunch of tag teams who can fight for this thing. But I felt now more than ever, just because we are in the build to WrestleMania, and I think there are bigger things for Bianca in particular at WrestleMania in a singles role. I don't personally want to see Bianca and Naomi defending these tag titles at Mania. I want to start whatever feud we're going, whether it's Jade coming back and it's a match with Jade, or it's a match with Naomi, or the 3 of them against each other, or something completely different. I want to start getting there. And I feel, because we've already had this match before, we've had it on the main roster, we've had it there was that 4-way match at one of the pay-per-views. For me, I felt there was a possibility tonight that, you could have had Liv and Raquel come out and potentially cost them, and starting off something with that, and having a surprise title switch. And I got the feeling that some of this crowd were thinking that as well. And that's why when that near fall, like that pin attempt fucked up, it wasn't just, hey, that was a 3, but no, they're not winning this match, because they'd have counted that. Even down to the gear, I thought like Lash and Jakara, their gear was more main event tonight than it usually is. But I thought it was fun. Lash Legends improved so much. She pulled out that standing moonsault we've never seen her do before, which looked great. She used to wrestle like she had 2 left feet, and I think she's starting to put it all together. She's using her height and her strength really well. And it was cool seeing that moment with her and Bianca. And I think she just oozes charisma, where I feel when these 2, but especially Lash, go onto the main roster, I feel Lash could be incredibly popular with people. I feel she's someone that could get, whether it's pushing, the skirt stuff even more, but we see how silly things get over, like Yeet and things. And I really feel like Lash could be one of those people that is just huge in the next few years. Enjoyed it. Like, little disappointed. I would like to see these titles in NXT at some point, but I thought all of them, bar that hiccup, put on a pretty fun main event here.
Yeah, like, why not put the titles here? We have a lot going on with the feud with, sorry, not the feud, but like we assume we're getting to something going on with Jade and Bianca and Naomi, and like this would have been a great time to like at least get rid of the titles and like make them mean something. We have a lot of way more women down here in NXT, and like this roster is pretty stacked. Like, why not have all these women going after the titles? It's at least it keeps the titles busy and everything. And they teased it, they flip-flopped. We had the NXT ones, they were gone, they unified it, etc., etc. But yeah, like I thought the match was pretty fun. I feel like if this thing with the referee happened on another show or another company, I think a lot of people would be jumping on this, like, oh, look, see this. But like I noticed it in
Jimmy Corderas going crazy.
I noticed this in WWE as much. Like, think we were at Money in the Bank. People really forgot that, what was it? Priest just did not kick out in a match. It was like clear as day. So like it happens, and it sucks, and it takes you out of it. But it's still like it's part of it. It's live, it's wrestling, so I can't really like gripe on that. So what I will say is like Lash and Jakara, like they keep getting better and better, and they do improve. And like same with Naomi and Bianca, like obviously being on the main roster, but I do think there's like more we could be using with Bianca than just kind of having her as a tag team wrestler right now, because I do think she's like a bit bigger than that as well. Like she has main evented a WrestleMania before, so
like it's crazy we haven't got to Rhea versus Bianca yet. And
one day that's a saved match for sure.
Yeah, but I just, you know, we had the 6-woman tag last year, which I thought was a little beneath Bianca, and I feel like she deserves something a little bigger.
Yeah,
whatever her plan is for this year.
So the match ends and NXT goes off the air, and I thought maybe, you know, they're not quite figuring out this Netflix thing, because I see this WWE transmission pop up on the screen with all the classic TV color bars, and then the words went away, and then more words popped up with like typing noises, and it said Vengeance Day. So this is a potential tease for someone debuting or returning at NXT Vengeance Day. But yes, let the speculation start now. We love a good who is it in wrestling, and specifically NXT. Is it Jordynne Grace? Is it her hubby, the octopus, Jonathan Gresham, also recently gone from TNA, it looks like. So like that's potential, but it's NXT. I'm leaning towards the hacker. What was his name again? What's this guy's
Solomon
name?
Crow.
Solomon Crow. You know, he's in TNA, right? Like he hacks. Ali.
Is he still in TNA? Yeah, I think
so.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Solomon Crow.
Well, all the hackers are in TNA right now.
Ali.
Mustafa Ali's in it. TNA.
Right. It could be him. Who is it? Who's the hacker who's hacking into this feed here?
Yeah, I don't know. Have you been on Twitter or Blue Sky to see what theories are? Like obviously we see that kind of thing and we think hacker, and we do think of those two. I don't think it will be those two. Although with the TNA connection, always a possibility. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think this could be referencing?
Yeah, like the TNA connection's weird because, like, again, I want to bring up Jordynne Grace and Jonathan Gresham, who were TNA talent, and we assume Grace is showing up to WWE. So, like, I don't necessarily think she needs an NXT run. I think she could just show up at the Rumble and be on the main roster. But Jonathan Gresham's a name that, like, hey, if he's a free agent, maybe he would want to sign with WWE and NXT. I think he'd fit in really, really well, especially tying things up with, like, the
but do you see them giving him a hacker gimmick?
No, like maybe it's not a hacker gimmick. Maybe it's just like this is the quickest, easiest vignette thing we could do. It's just TV bars that someone's like.
Wouldn't you show some calamari or something like that?
Yeah, like an octopus, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it could be Josh Alexander. It could be a bunch of people that like from TNA that maybe are coming over. I'm not quite sure, but it's always cool that they do like a bit of a mystery thing. But this one was pretty like basic. It was just TV bars. So
what it said WWE transmission and then just said Vengeance Day, didn't it? So.
Transmission. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe a TV exec, Cyrus. I don't know. But let us know in the chat or at Poisonrana Pod on Blue Sky or Twitter. Who would you think this is? The end transmission coming soon to Vengeance Day. But yeah, that was NXT. I think there was some good stuff on it. Like there was some stuff. I'm not really thrilled with the whole Waller theory NXT title situation, but I was cool with like Trick losing his cool and kind of still potentially getting a little bit of an edge going back for that chase with the title. So hopefully he is added to that match or the singles match. I think that you were kind of saying, but I thought there was some good wrestling, and it is cool to go outside the PC and do this in front of crowds that like, hey, people do watch. So like the people knew who these characters were. They were behind the characters and everything. So I think that like really helps to not just do it in the PC with that one guy who's just always booing and booing loud for no reason whatsoever. So I really like this. I like there's some things going forward to Vengeance Day that I'm like kind of head scratching at with some of the pieces, including like the triple threat with Bayley, the triple threat with Oba, like I said, but At the same time, like I think
we
the
say that,
PLE
but the thing it's Bayley, Roxanne, and Giulia. Like
That
that
should
is
be
going to
good.
be a hell of a match. I
what
think.
what I was about to say is like, however, the PLEs usually tend to be
Yeah.
really good, and NXT has found their groove when it comes to the PLEs lately. So I would definitely say it's still a great show. Like if you're adding Ethan Page and Javon, you got Fallon, Stephanie Vaquer, like those are some solid matches on that show. So definitely looking forward to that. What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought they really stacked this one in Atlanta. You had a lot of main roster talent with Bayley, Bianca, Naomi, and Shotzi, I guess, who are kind of still classes, although she seems to be permanently NXT now. And Waller and Theory. I thought the women, as usual, kind of carried this show. I like both tag matches, and I did like Shotzi and Fallon. Interested in the Trick kind of character. I hope they kind of go further with that. And we still got a few weeks to go to see how this Vengeance Day card actually shapes up. There's still some questions. Is Cora going to be inserted into that match? Is it going to be a singles match? Is it going to be a four-way with the Femy stuff? But yeah, I liked it, and definitely please do more of these on the road. They seem to be doing it every few weeks now, so that's good. But yeah, I was pretty positive on this week's show.
Yeah, I mean, we have the Royal Rumble coming up, and they're not doing a show to piggyback. They don't seem to piggyback off the PLEs of main roster. They seem to do them in the town like the Raw is at or whatever, the next day. So this Vengeance Day will be on a Saturday, February 15th. That means, fellas, Valentine's Day is the night before that on the Friday. So there's your warning. I can't say both of us usually work Saturday nights, and I don't know if Grayson Waller is going to get me to do this show. So I think we will be going live this Sunday at 2 p.m. On the 16th. Just some programming there. But give us a follow, as always, on the socials to keep up when we do it, because we will still be talking about it. I'm sure there'll be some great wrestling on that show. But they do return to the PC next week, and they did announce on the show they're going to, Cincinnati? I think it's some Skyline Chili. I want them to come up to Toronto again. I like the Heat Wave show. I'd love if they did a PLE or a TV kind of special up here. Who knows if they attach it to Elimination Chamber, possibly, or something like that. But
I feel like we'd have heard that by now, I'd have thought, but maybe. But yeah, I'm down for them doing a smaller venue. Like, you don't have to do Scotiabank, but another time of year doing a like this Atlanta show.
Maple Leaf Gardens here in Toronto would be sick.
Would be great.
But yes, that's what we thought of NXT. We do this every Tuesday, and we let you know our thoughts, but we also will read some of your thoughts if you're generous enough to leave them for us. We have a Facebook page you can like, Poisonrana, but you can find the group, which we post a feedback thread, and we share lots of fun things in there. And I know there's always some culprits leaving some thoughts on the show. Davie, do you have it open? Would you like to take it away?
I do.
I can't read this man's feedback. This is your job.
Well, of course, it is Magan who says, 3 strong women's matches carried NXT's trip down south. Shotzi put on a spirited performance against Henley, good selling, and I dug that there was no run-in finish. Stephanie Vaquer's going to get it back in blood in Washington. 2 women got thrown under the bus. JC is getting fed to Steph, and Cora getting slighted by Roxy running her mouth about losing the tag match by Giulia and Bayley. Oba getting both members of ATDU in a triple threat for Vengeance Day is some lame duck shit. Trick got a much-needed edge, and Wes Lee sold his tail off. I bet Trick will make this a 4-way. No point in waiting around another 2 months for his send-off. Javon Evans, Ethan Page is a grudge match worth making. Lash Legend had a terrific outing in the Black Girl Magic main event, despite a botched 3 count. About that standby screen. What's that about? Strong outing.
Thank you, Megan,
Thank you.
as always. And thank you for reading that. And thank you for everyone in the chat. As always, we do this every Tuesday. We'll be back next Tuesday like we always are. And if you haven't, like I said off the top, check out our Patreon and check out Poisonrana. We have tons of free shows, Shot in the Dark every week, 15 minutes or less. John Cena will fill you in on Ring of Honor, Women of Wrestling, dog food matches. It's all there in Shot in the Dark. Plus, What Up, Doe? Plus, Eagles Don't Hunt
Dog
Flies.
food matches. Is Baron Corbin?
Boy,
Sorry,
Women of Wrestling was wow.
Nomad Bishop King? What's his name?
Wow was crazy this week with a dog food match, Davey. You have to see it to believe it. Trust me when I say that. Poisonrana.ca for all the links of everything that we do and all the live shows. We will be live on Sunday at 2 to chat all about the Royal Rumble. And we have tons of shows on our Patreon. So check us out. If you like what you hear, we do tons of wrestling and movies and all sorts of fun things. And if you are a Saturday Night Live fan, I know in 3 weeks on a Sunday, the 16th in February, they will be doing the SNL 50 celebration with NBC, a 3-hour special. Well, the Tuesday after that, on the 18th, I'm going to be doing a special show for Post Wrestling and Poison Rana patrons only, where I will be joined by John Pollock to do a pretty much a best match ever Saturday Night Live as we chat about the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special. I've asked him to tell me, we're going to chat about our top 5 sketches, top 5 cast members, and maybe some music in there and everything. So if you're a Saturday Night Live fan, please DM me, if you will. Send me your favorite top 5 sketches or just sketches in general or moments or music performances, because I'm going to try to watch so much SNL over the next few weeks as I go through 50 years of it to do a podcast that will be on the Patreon. So that's in a few weeks, but I'd love to hear some input, and I'll put up a feedback thread as well and everything, because I know a lot of people out there are SNL fans and everything. So party on. We're going to be doing a big show on that, and very excited about this as well.
Awesome.
But follow the space as always, because if you're coming up for Chamber, we have some announcements. Maybe this weekend we'll let those fly. And happy Rumble, everybody.
Have a good Rumble. We'll see you Sunday. Please give us a subscription and a follow. YouTube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. Search for Poison Rana wherever you get your podcasts. We will be giving our full Royal Rumble review, as well as talking about some AEW from this week and all that this Sunday at 2 p.m.
Appreciate everyone out there as always. The NXT friends, all the frogs out there. We can't do it without you. We love you. Appreciate you. You can follow us at Poison Rana Pod. You can follow me at the Brady.
And you can find me at Davie Portman, and do give our Blue Sky a follow at Poisonrana.ca.
Oh, and the Insta, like we said, you got to give us the follow, guys. What are you doing if you don't? Appreciate you. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And what a bitch.
Ahoy!